If you don't know Ed Erickson, welcome to his 90th birthday.
Ed told me that when he was in high school, that was when he really discovered the Unitarians and the Universalists. And he was particularly impressed by Albert Schweitzer. Now, I don't think anybody to this day knows if Schweitzer was really a Unitarian or not, but at one point he said that he was. And that's good enough for me. I think probably good enough for many of us. Schweitzer said, the secret to success is to love what you do. The secret to success is to love what you do. I'm going to say at the beginning, with that thought in mind, I think Ed has been a very successful man. Because I think he's a natural for the ministry. He's a natural as a philosopher and as a teacher, as a source of inspiration. And he has done a wonderful job in all of these things, and for more than a few decades. And I think he is a happy man, and that sends a good message to all of us. You know, he's that kind of gentleman. There's always something else, another layer. In 1984, when he was in his 50s, he sort of retired, and this is true for many of us in Florida. He sort of retired, came back to the Dunedin area, and began to write, and did at least 3 books, and also did some preaching. And this was at a time, we say preaching here in the South, I don't know, the Yankees might say speaking, I guess, or lecturing. But really spoke on at least 25, 30 occasions at the UU Church, or what became the UU Church in Tarpon Springs. And really, on a number of occasions, has been our minister. And I regard Ed not just as a good friend, but really as a role model, as a mentor, somebody who has done ministry, who is ministry in many ways, who's been an enormously helpful person in our little church in Tarpon Springs, who has known all of the clergy, or almost all the clergy, back as far as the late 40s. And he's been with us, and he's been for us. And Ed, you are very much appreciated. Very much appreciated and loved. One of our members now coming into a leadership position has recently discovered some of Ed's writings. Still has not met Ed, but there's this wonderful sense of a new generation discovering humanism, ethical culture, some of the themes that Ed has worked with for many decades, watching somebody really begin to embrace some of these themes. And I hope the two of you have a chance to meet. But so far, it's just wonderful to see this experience, even to feel this experience of the good news being passed along. And Ed, we're very grateful for what you've done. And we're very grateful for who you are. And I'm going to raise a glass as a toast. Ed, this is very much for you. Thank you.
I first met Ed on May 15, 1994, on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the Washington Ethical Society, when he was being honored for his many years of leadership there. Betty and I were new to ethical humanism then. A few years before, Ed had published his book, The Humanist Way, mentioned in the letter I read, and still the definitive work on the subject. And at our first meeting, I had to sign my well-worn copy. He wrote to Tony and Betty with best wishes on your new venture in the Ethical Society. And he signed and dated it. I treasured that memento and that our first meeting. Little did either of us know that that venture would turn into an adventure that eventually led me to succeed Ed several times and a generation removed as leader of the New York Society for Ethical Culture. That would never have come to pass were it not for Ed's mentorship and his friendship. Many in the ethical movement and elsewhere can say the same. His generosity of time and wisdom is appreciated by so very many. You need to know that ethical culture was founded as a natural religion by Dr. Felix Adler in the late 19th century. It's one of the few surviving religions formed in that rich intellectual period of American history, due in no small part to people like Ed. From rare time to rare time, the ethical movement recognizes someone of remarkable accomplishment, recognized with the Felix Adler Lifetime Achievement Award. I say rare, as it's only been bestowed twice. This year, Edward L. Erickson becomes the third recipient. The award is to be presented this June at the American Ethical Union's annual assembly in Tampa. On the 90th anniversary of his birth, it is to my mentor and to my friend that I raise my glass and ask you to raise yours in admiration, in respect, in appreciation of a man who has truly made the world a better place. To you, Ed, with love.
Cheers.
Here. Thank you.
One is the News and Views Group, and it meets up weekly up in Tarpon Springs at the UU Church. And I have the pleasure of being able to drive Ed up. We travel up together, and as we go, we hear all these, well, I used to live here. This spring. This is where this happened. And this is all this history, and I get to hear it driving up, and it's, oh, really? And then once in a while, we might talk about something like a philosophical idea or something, and I get to drive, and I get to talk and hear it going. And I wished I had my tape recorder going all the time, just so I can remember that much of what he knows. When we get up there, I just say that we drive up there weekly when we can, and we talk about philosophy and science and history at these groups. There are a number of people, by the way, in this group here that are in the News and Views. So those are more personal, but I would like to say this is a wonderful 90th birthday, and I say cheers to 90 and many, many more. Happy birthday. Cheers. And I'm going to step aside and say really quickly, and Carol, your birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to you too.
Oh God, he'll tell the truth.
I don't dare tell the truth. After all these people have given you this great speeches, you've only known him a few years. I've known him for 87 and a half years almost, put up with him. And what he has, I haven't heard anybody mention, when we were sponging in World War II, he would row that dinghy up all day long, from daylight till dark. And he had a fellow that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
He had a fellow cooking sponge for him. And then he would cook dinner in the evening. And I remember he used to make a pudding out of raisins, and I don't know what he put in it, but it was very good. But as we were little kids, he used to just run me around and beat me up all the time. And,
here it comes.
I won't say too much about that. They get up and contradict me a little bit. Once in a while, I guess a rock would slip out of my hand and go towards him. But anyway, he's been a great brother, and I appreciate it very much.
I think it was Tony who stole part of my thunder. He spoke of the wonderful relationship between Carol and me. But I would amplify that by saying that my life began 25 years ago when an old friend, not old in age, but old in time that we had known each other, came to say hello for a short visit. And when Carol walked in that door, I locked that door behind her. It's been 25 very short years, very wonderful years. My life has been a new life. Carol is the love of my life. Carol, I love you. And you have made my life. I'm 25 years old. It was the 5th of February, 1994. In less than 2 weeks, we will have been together 25 wonderful years with the woman I love.
Okay. Ed is not a musician. He can't carry a tune. But his love of music, especially classical music and particularly chamber music, is lifelong. We hope to reflect this part of Ed's life. I first heard the music we are about to play in 2016. It was an encore to a piano concert. The same theme was used by Rachmaninoff much later in the second piano concerto. Buying the music was easy. Finding 2 piano players who shared my enthusiasm and had the skill to play it was a different matter. Here we are 3 years later and playing in public for the first time.